Why does it feel like you are executing a script you never signed up for? You are 20-something, living in the richest era of human history, staring at your smartphone in a dimly lit apartment, scrolling through endless self-help TikToks, yet carrying an unexplainable, crushing weight in your chest. You've blamed the economy, the toxic corporate grind, or your lack of discipline. You buy airline tickets to find yourself, or pay hundreds of dollars for therapy to heal your inner child. But let's be brutally honest here, it is not working. The anxiety stays. The feeling of being completely lost remains. I used to look at this chaos and think it was just bad luck. We're told that childhood trauma is a random accident, a glitch in an otherwise perfect life. But when you look past the modern psychological labels, you realize something far more chilling. Your childhood wounds are not accidents. They are the final, missing pieces of a cosmic algorithm. In Eastern philosophy, we call this karma, not as a system of punishment, but as a silent, invisible code embedded deep within your subconscious operating system. Every toxic relationship you repeat, every time you sabotage your own success, you aren't making a conscious choice. You are just running a pre-programmed loop. Your inner child is the hard drive where this ancient software is installed. Right now, your system is crashing. But here is the value contract. If you stay with me until the final minutes of this video, we are going to stop patched up healing. We are going to dive into the core architecture of your mind, reveal the historical glitch, and show you exactly how to execute a complete cosmic debug. Your reality is about to shift. I remember a night in Seattle, staring at a sink full of dirty dishes. It was 2 a.m. I was exhausted, but my mind was racing. My hand reached for my phone, the dopamine machine. I opened Netflix, looking for anything to drown out the noise in my head. We do this every day, don't we? We think we are just relaxing, but we are actually running from a ghost. That ghost is a 5-year-old child inside us who was told they weren't enough. In America, we are obsessed with fixing things. We treat our minds like a broken car. Take a pill, read a book, go to therapy. But you cannot fix a software bug by painting the exterior of the machine. The trauma is the software. When I was washing those dishes, feeling that familiar wave of anger and loneliness, it hit me. I wasn't angry at the dishes. I was angry at a memory from 20 years ago. A memory of my father walking out the door. That was the exact moment. My system installed the rejection script. It became my default operating system. Every time a friend didn't text back, or a job application got rejected, this old script would hijack my brain, draining my energy, leaving me lost in the dark. We call it getting triggered. But ancient Buddhist psychology calls it Sankara, the deep mental action patterns we inherit, reinforce, and execute blindly. We think we are free, but we are actually just living our reactions. And until we look directly at the code of this inner child, we are doomed to repeat it. We live in a culture that tells us we are the sole authors of our destiny. Just manifest your dreams, they say. Choose happiness. But let me ask you a hard question. Have you ever felt like an invisible hand is constantly steering your life in the exact opposite direction? You think you are consciously choosing your partner, but you are actually just selecting someone who triggers the same childhood loneliness you've spent a lifetime running from. You think you are chasing a promotion, but you are actually trying to prove something to a parent who never looked up from their screen. It is like living inside the Matrix. The green code of your past is running the script of your present, and you don't even know it. When I first realized this, it terrified me. I looked at my constant need to stay busy, my endless scrolling through feeds at 3 a.m., and my deep fear of stillness. I wasn't choosing these behaviors. My unresolved karma was. In ancient Buddhist psychology, This is the ultimate trap of samsara, the wheel of repeating the same painful patterns over and over. Because we refuse to wake up to the program. We treat our anxiety like an enemy to be killed with distractions, rather than an unread letter from our 5-year-old self. That kid is sitting in the dark, screaming for attention through your chronic procrastination and silent panic. But here is the shift. You cannot rewrite code you do not acknowledge. Your childhood wounds are not a life sentence. They are the exact raw materials needed for your awakening. Every trigger is a doorway. Every moment of emptiness is an invitation to debug the script. If you want to reclaim your destiny, you have to stop running from the ghost. In the next section, we are going to explore the ancient blueprints of this internal war. The legendary clash between the untamed mind and the silent observer. Prepare your mind, because the battle is about to begin. Have you ever wondered why your mind never stops talking? In the ancient Eastern epics, there is a legendary character that perfectly mirrors the modern American mind's son. Wukong, the Monkey King. He was brilliant, hyperactive, and possessed godlike powers. He could leap 100,000 miles in a single bound. Yet, when he challenged the Buddha, boasting that he could escape the very edge of the universe, he leaped with all his might across the cosmos, only to land at what he thought were 5 massive pillars at the end of creation. But when he looked closer, those 5 pillars were actually the fingers of the Buddha's hand. He had never left the palm of reality. When I first read this story during my darkest year in New York, it hit me like a physical blow. I was Sun Wukong. I was working 80-hour weeks, drinking 4 cups of coffee a day, running from one relationship to the next, trying to outrun my own deep-seated anxiety. I thought my leaps of ambition were proof of my strength. But the truth was, no matter how fast I ran, I was still standing in the palm of my unhealed childhood wounds. The 5 fingers of my trauma: the fear of rejection, the shame of not being enough, the desperate need for validation were the exact boundaries of my universe. I was trapped in an internal war, fighting an invisible enemy, with a sword made of sheer willpower, completely exhausting myself while the ancient software kept running in the background. This is the ultimate paradox of the mind. You cannot fight your way out of a prison that is constructed by your own thoughts. Every time you fight your anxiety, you feed it. The Monkey King didn't find freedom by fighting harder. He had to be pinned beneath a mountain for 500 years to finally learn stillness. In the next moments, we are going to look at the exact mechanism of this internal war. Because the only way out is not to leap further, but to stop running altogether and face the mountain. This is where the Western mind gets it completely wrong. We are trained to be warriors. From childhood, we are fed the heroic narrative of the underdog fighting against all odds to conquer the enemy. So, when we discover our childhood wounds, our immediate, primal instinct is to go to war. We treat our anxiety like a monster to be slain, our depression like an enemy territory to be conquered. We download productivity apps, we force ourselves into rigid morning routines, we scream in ice baths, and we attempt to bully our minds into submission. But have you noticed that the harder you fight, the stronger the shadow gets? It is like trying to wipe out a roaring fire by throwing dry wood onto it. Your very struggle is the fuel. I remember sitting in my room on a cold, rainy Tuesday in Portland, completely exhausted from this endless self-help crusade. I had read 50 books on trauma, practiced breathwork until I was dizzy, and yet, the moment the room went silent, that same familiar void in my chest opened up like a physical wound. I was so angry at myself. Why aren't I healed yet? I screamed internally. In that moment of absolute defeat, a quiet, terrifying realization hit me. I wasn't fighting my trauma. I was fighting myself. The anxious, broken kid inside me, didn't need a warrior to defend him or a drill sergeant to fix him. He just needed a parent to hold him. By turning my mind into a battlefield, I was perpetuating the very violence that wounded me in the first place. This is the ultimate twist of the cosmic algorithm. The war itself is the illusion. Every time you resist your pain, you are reinforcing the ego's hidden code that says I am not safe as I am. The historical Buddha did not defeat the terrifying demon army of Mara with a physical sword or angry willpower. He simply touched the earth, sat in absolute stillness, and acknowledged them. He recognized that the demons were just projections of his own unhealed mind. Your shadow is not a glitch to be deleted. It is a fragment of your own consciousness begging to be integrated. If you want to end the loop, you must lay down your weapons. In the next final moments, we are going to explore the exact ancient technology of stillness that lets you stop fighting and finally debug the script. Prepare to surrender the war, and here is the absolute, mind-shattering revelation that the matrix of your mind doesn't want you to know. You are not the doer. Read that again. You are not the driver of this chaotic machine. You have just been sitting in the passenger seat, mistaking the windshield for your own eyes. All your life, when anxiety arose, you said, I am anxious. When anger flared up, you said, I am angry. But this is the ultimate system error. The anxiety is not you. The anger is not you. They are simply pre-programmed software programs running on the old hard drive of your childhood trauma. You are not the storm. You are the sky that allows the storm to exist. You are the screen, not the movie. When I first experienced this shift in perspective, it felt like a heavy, invisible suit of armor was suddenly stripped away from my body. I realized I didn't need to fix myself, because the core of who I am was never broken. The child inside me who was abandoned, rejected, or told he wasn't enough, that child was just a memory. A set of emotional codes executing in real time. By simply step back and observing the script without judgment, the script lost its power over me. The loop broke. The algorithm failed to trigger because I stopped feeding it with my reaction. So, how do you debug this cosmic code in your daily life? It starts with a simple 3-step protocol we call the observation shift. First, the next time your system gets triggered, when that familiar void opens in your chest, do not run. Do not pick up your phone. Sit with it for exactly 90 seconds. Second, change your language. Instead of saying I am lonely, say I notice that loneliness is passing through my body. This small linguistic hack instantly disidentifies you from the ego. Third, look at that feeling with the eyes of a loving parent, not a drill sergeant. Acknowledge the pain, let it burn itself out, and return to the stillness of the present moment. That is the exact moment you reclaim your code. The war is over. You are finally free.